Pickup trucks used to be super reliable and extremely durable vehicles, but not anymore, as they've become way more complex and therefore more prone to problems. And Ford perfectly fits this trend as a company that has been facing record high recalls and customer complaints in the last few years. And with the next generation Ranger on the way, it doesn't seem that things can get much better. Moreover, we've found 6 reasons why the 2024 Ford Ranger might destroy what's left of Ford's reliability reputation. Number 6. 2 recalls already in 2023. The 2024 Ranger may be all new in North America, but just like the previous generation, it was developed by the Australian department, so it arrived in this part of the world first, already as the 2023 model. And drivers from down under already had enough time to try out the new model and get initial experience. From what we can hear from them, things are far from great. Namely, even though the new generation brings mostly evolutionary changes and still rides on the old T6 platform, it doesn't look like Ford engineers have solved the old problems. Moreover, it looks like new ones have appeared, at least if we judge by 2 recalls that have happened in 2023 in Australia. The first one refers to the incorrect tire and loading information, tread label, which only supports even more the thesis that something is really wrong with Ford's quality control. The second one, more dangerous but also relatively banal, was for loose lug nuts on the driver's side wheels. But the story about quality control doesn't end there, because the owners of the new Ranger also complained about the poor build quality, bad brakes, and transmission issues. And we'll cover some of these later in the video too. Number 5. Electrical issues. As we've mentioned earlier in this video, pickup trucks are not just common workhorses anymore. They've become way more complex vehicles in many ways, especially in terms of in-car electrics and electronics. This left more room for potential issues, and like many other Ford models, the Ranger wasn't spared of issues of this kind either. Only in the first production year in Australia, local dealers received numerous complaints about things like a digital instrument cluster malfunction, issues with driver assistance features, and other in-car electronics. Customers also complained about Ford's hesitation to address the problems, as the company waited for a while to fix the issues, only after vehicles broke down on multiple occasions. The problem becomes even better once you realize that the Australian market Ranger isn't an isolated case, and that electrical issues have become a pretty common thing among various Ford models, including the Maverick. Ford's unibody pickup faced various troubles, such as the problem with the brake system, which caused taillights to turn on randomly, without even touching the brake pedal. There's also the trailer brake software issue, which affected not just the Maverick, but also the full-size F-150, as well as a couple of body-on-frame SUVs, such as the Expedition and the Lincoln Navigator. We don't say that the Ranger is going to face the same problems once the North American production starts, as most of them have been resolved, but on the other hand, they indicate that the probability of seeing similar issues in the future is pretty high. Number 4. Transmission issues. As mentioned, the new generation of Ford's midsize pickup brings rather evolutionary changes, and many parts have carried over from the previous model. Transmission is one of them, and there's still no clear indicator that the issues of the previous model have been resolved. The 10R80 transmission has been in use for several years in so many Ford models, but it looks like some problems are still there. Once again, we can refer to the Australian market and customer complaints. When it comes to transmission, the most common complaint is about the transmission slipping, an issue that's rather typical for high mileage and refers to things like damaged or worn clutch plates, transmission bands, or solenoid packs. Happens to appear at relatively low mileage, and it looks like Ford engineers have not addressed this problem properly yet. Besides slipping, customers have complained about shaking, shuddering, stalling, jerking violently into gear, and losing power. All in all, we don't have high hopes for the US market Ranger on this matter. Still, it's important to keep in mind that this is not an issue that affects all Ford models, but a small percentage of them. The exact reason is still a mystery, and it may have something to do with maintenance, driving habits, or something else. Otherwise, this is one of the better gearboxes out there, with smooth power delivery, quick and on-time shifts, and a high level of overall refinement. Number 3. Engine issues. The next generation of the 2024 Ford Ranger will offer superior driving experience, and one of the main reasons is that there will be 3 times more powertrain options than before. While the outgoing model comes only with a Turbo 4 engine on the US market, the new model will add 2 more V6 units to the offer. All engines will offer respectable power and a generous amount of torque, but will they be reliable enough to compete with rivals? The current 2.3-liter Turbo 4 showed a couple of weak points already, and we're not sure if Ford engineers have addressed the problem adequately, considering that the Ranger's closest relative, the Bronco, still has troubles with it. Namely, several customers reported problems on their Bronco and Ranger models with this base engine, mostly referring to the lack of power, stalling, etc. It turned out that the turbocharged wasn't working properly and that the problem was in the wastegate, which is prone to getting stuck. Problems are even bigger with the bigger 2.7-liter V6, which is about to debut in the new Ranger. Bronco owners reported sudden failures of the engine, which was refusing to start even before it reached 5,000 miles. The reason was broken valves and damaged engine block because of faulty valve keepers. On various forums, you can read about a bad batch of valves, and that this issue affects only the first few months of Bronco's production run, but other estimations suggest that this issue could affect more than 25,000 Broncos. The company has not issued any recalls so far, and the only mitigating circumstance is that these failures usually happen at low mileage. So dealers just replace damaged engines, as vehicles are still under warranty. Once again, we can't tell if the Blue Oval Company has solved these problems. We don't say that they will occur in the new Ranger 2, just pointing out some of the concerns we have. Number 2. Bronco-related issues. Just like the outgoing model, the next generation Ranger will also be built in the same assembly as the Bronco. That's because the 2 models ride on the same platform and share a lot of parts, which leads us to another concern about the 2024 Ranger. This leads us to the presumption that the new pickup might face similar issues as the revived off-roader, which mainly refers to the quality of certain parts, bad assembly of certain parts, and poor quality control in general. One of the first things that come to mind are drive shaft boots, which are made of poor quality materials that can crack pretty easily. Then they allow water and other materials to reach the CV joint, which causes a lot of noise and vibration. The same is true with tie rods, which tend to break under heavier off-road exploitation. So we have good reason to be worried that similar problems may occur with the new Ranger as well, even though it features a little bit more rugged front suspension. There are also numerous less serious, though equally annoying reports about Ford Bronco issues, which primarily refer to bad assembly and build quality. Water leaks and strange noises coming from the windshield are just some of the things that come to mind. Luckily, the new Ranger won't feature a removable top like the Ford Bronco does, because the new Bronco had numerous problems with this feature, whether it's about aesthetics or pure functionality of this roof. Eventually, Ford replaced all roofs with an updated version. But all this tells us is that there are many things that could potentially go wrong in terms of the Ranger's build quality, and that leads us to the mother of all problems. Number 1. Ford has big quality problems. Ford has never been among the most reliable automotive makers in the world. But if you check the record in the last few years, it's obvious that things have gone too far. The problems are so big that company SEO Jim Farley stated that quality control is by far the biggest problem at the moment. Only in 2022, Ford issued 67 recalls that, along with warranty claims, cost the company over $3.9 billion. The year before was even worse, as the total cost of recalls and claims was $3.95 billion. Of course, management has been working on a strategy to fix this problem, but it will take years before Ford gets back on track in terms of quality, which is the main reason why we don't feel very optimistic about the new Ranger and its reliability. Will it be better than the Bronco? Probably, but we're not sure if that's going to be enough to keep up with the competition, which seems tougher than ever. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.